I didn't want to make this video. I've been working hard on a big video that comes out next week. I was gonna skip this week's upload. And I thought, I could watch the new Phineas and Ferb movie while I work on it. But this goddamn movie, Candace Flynn versus the World, was so goddamn bad that I just can't not make a video about it. And if anyone wants to leave a comment saying, oh, but Mark, I didn't think the movie was that bad, I liked it a lot, then you know what? That's okay, I respect your opinion. I haven't really talked about it much on my channel, but I love Phineas and Ferb, a cartoon about two brothers trying to make the most of their extremely long summer, as their sister Candace tries to get them in trouble with their mum. It was what I watched in my transitional period as a tween. You know when you think you're too old for SpongeBob but are getting tired of the same live-action Disney sitcoms? So wait a second, you're telling me there's a dog, and he's got a blog? Man, what'll I think of next? Cat with a newspaper? That's awful, that's barely a joke. So yeah, Phineas and Ferb is great. I love the characters, I love the art style, I love how they managed to make 4 seasons of a show that completely relied on the same 4 or 5 running gags, and I love the songs, especially the songs. But by the end of the original series though, you could tell they were running out of ideas, so they ended the show in 2015 with a story that tied up all the loose ends of the series, and lets us know where the characters would end up in the future. Doofenshmirtz becomes a good guy, the summer ends, and yeah, that's kind of all I really needed to tie up. But now in the grand year of 2020, Phineas and Ferb is back with a brand new movie premiering on Disney+. How amazing is that? We finally get the return of our favorite characters after being gone for an entire, I think it was 2 weeks this time, maybe? A month? Wow, that's a new record. If you're wondering what I mean by this, it's that despite being cancelled, Phineas and Ferb never really went away. Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh, the show's creators, went on to make a new series for Disney called Milo Murphy's Law. And it was alright. Not bad, but nothing amazing. I can see why it didn't last very long. Although these character designs may have contributed to that. Jesus, look how boring they all are. But something they did that will never not annoy me is that after a while, I assume to increase viewership, they added the main antagonist from Phineas and Ferb, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and Perry the Platypus as reoccurring characters in the show. And he lives with the main character now. A part of me feels bad for the two. It seems like they hit it out of the park on their first try, but nothing they do after will be successful, so they're always riding off the success of their previous cartoon. But I guess I shouldn't feel too bad because now they're back with a new movie, Candace Against the Universe. And it's bad. It's real bad. That was a Fred the Movie reference for the uninitiated, because I know someone's gonna comment saying like, wow, you think this is bad but Fred the Movie is amazing to you? Yes. So this movie opens with, oh my god, we're just jumping right into it, okay? This movie opens on one of the film's many forgettable music numbers, which is never how I thought I'd describe anything Phineas and Ferb related, because if this show is known for anything, it's having amazing music. Candace sings about how she's not gonna try and bust her brothers today, until she gets home and, yeah, you get the picture. But something's a bit different this time. Candace snaps and finally tells her brothers how much of the not funds she's been having, to their utter disbelief. And they finally realize how miserable Candace is. Well, she's about to have this breakthrough, and this all just comes off as really contrived. Like, this is the inciting incident you're going with. It's just so non-consequential. Like, it's the most average Phineas and Ferb story setup, and this is what drives her over the edge. Okay, so what if instead of the movie starting with a dumb song of Candace giving exposition about the show, it instead starts in the middle of a normal Phineas and Ferb episode, like her trying to get her mum home with a setup that seems more cinematic, maybe giving their invention a greater scope and not just this clown thing. You know, give some kind of reason for this being the breaking point is what I'm getting at. It also does a better job at setting up the characters naturally and just showing you how they act without Candace literally having to give the audience exposition towards it. Anyway, Candace gets abducted by aliens, where the ruler tells her that they are in need of a substance that radiates off Candace, and she thinks this is great at first, because it means she's really special and someone really does need her. And yeah, you can see where this is going. Eventually, Phineas, Ferb, Isabella, Buford, and Baljeet go to space to save her. And Doof and Perry also tag along because why not? They contribute almost nothing to the story most of the time. I get that he went to go retrieve Vanessa, but as we later find out, she wasn't even with Candace. So he's like, okay, I guess me being with y'all was pointless. I'm gonna go to where the plot needs me. I'ma head out.
Okay, Miss Fritz. I'm about to head out.
Remember, you can't reveal yourself as an agent. You also can't reveal yourself as their pet to Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Okay, but what about that time? What about that time when that literally happened and nothing went wrong? Wasn't there like a whole running gag about Doof being so dumb that he doesn't recognize Perry unless he's wearing his hat? You really don't want to be reminding me of Across the Second Dimension right now, because that movie is amazing in every way compared to this.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. Why does their platypus fight so good? Perry the platypus!
To me, if you're going to bring back a franchise as creatively bankrupt as Phineas and Ferb, then you better have a good reason or an interesting story to tell, and this has neither of those. It's the most generic twist villain plot ever. We even get that forced break-off scene where Candace is like, I have everything I want right here. She gets me. And then acts like an ass towards her brothers who have done nothing. Like, the three of them have had one scene together in this whole thing so far. So yeah, because obviously, Candace is betrayed and it's revealed that the only reason they needed her was for her carbon dioxide. To which she geniusly realizes that everyone on Earth exhales CO2 and realizes, wait a minute, I'm not special?
I'm not special.
I really hate this movie. At this point, the film just sort of devolves into a 30-minute action scene where Candace comes out as the victor and meets up with her brothers in a scene that is honestly pretty cute. I wish the film focused more on the characters and a story that's way more grounded like this. I wish it had more of that, and less cringy modern humor. Maybe this is just me, but the second I see a cartoon character pull out a smartphone, I'm immediately pulled out of the immersion. Again, it's probably just me, I know it isn't a big deal. But I never took Phineas and Ferb as the sort of show that would make Siri references or flossing.
Hey, do you guys have any vegetable oil we can use? We need to refuel.
Oh, sure. Bacha owns a tempura restaurant.
Okay, never mind, the flossing makes sense. Boy, Candace, that phone sure would have been useful when you wanted your mom to turn around at the start of the film. It's almost like you took a picture. But I suppose none of the humor in this really did it for me. The joke where Doofenshmirtz had a self-destruct switch on his axe was funny, and that's about it. You know what would have made it less funny? If the characters then stopped and stood around for a couple seconds to acknowledge the joke. There's this really funny part where we see the art degrade until we have Jeff and Dan explain the storyboards to the audience. And even though that joke is getting a bit overdone, it's still funny. But because it was taking part in the middle of an action scene, I thought it'd immediately jump back into the action like it never happened, and just have it remain as some bizarre thing that's never even acknowledged. But no, it's followed up with this.
We should never speak of this again.
You know, the joke is a lot less funny when you hold on the reaction for so long with each character in their basic stock pose. And it's full of stuff like this. I don't know, the movie overall just had a really slow pace, which made it boring more than anything. And of course, I've saved the worst aspect to last, the animation. Now, I know with quarantine and all, it created a bunch of issues with the overseas animation, so they had to continue it all at home. And Dan has commented on how awful this movie looked before the reshoots, so I know they were just doing the best that they were capable of, but it really takes you out of it when almost every line is delivered with the same dead, soulless expression. This was mostly at the start of the film. It got a little better as it went along, but it was still a big issue for me. And by for me, I mean I'm probably just being too picky and most others won't notice how all the characters just... They stir into your soul, man. I had some people telling me they enjoyed the more off-model animation, but I'm telling you there's a difference between this and this. That being, one is intentional and the other is time and budget constraints. There's also a bunch of minor confusing things I can mention about the animation, like why does the leader alien have a black outline while the others have a green one? It makes her stand out and not even feel like a part of their world. But I could bore you for ages about that stuff. I get that most of my complaints are just nitpicks. Still though, in the end I think this movie was pointless and had no reason to be made. And it surely didn't convince me of its right with its generic, predictable story, awful pacing and comedy, and animation that looks like it had the budget of a regular episode of Milo Murphy's Law. That means it looks bad.
It's when you blew up all those aliens.
And then I saw her face. I'm a believer.
I know this was a shorter video, but I got a big one planned to hopefully come out for next Friday, so stay tuned for that. See y'all then, and I've got no joke to end this on. Yeah, you see how unfunny it is to hold on?